Passing a health care bill may have been an historic move, but the fight behind it is just beginning. Democrats, Republicans, and many other organizations are planning on fighting this legislation. However, the process of challenging the constitutionality of federal legislation is difficult and it's complex. What lawsuits can we expect to move forward? Let's bring in Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano for some answers.
What a pleasure. Remain seated. What a pleasure to be here.
We wanted you to bring your gavel and everything. So tell us, what do you think is going to be the first action that we may see?
I think the first actions you'll see are lawsuits filed by state attorneys general that are running for governor of their respective states, who basically want to make a big splash about this by filing lawsuits that will make a political statement but will not move the ball forward legally at all.
Make them look good.
Yes.
Make them look good.
Now, I share their animus about this. I believe that virtually all of this is unconstitutional. But in order to challenge the constitutionality of legislation, one must be uniquely harmed by it in a way distinct from all others. One cannot simply file a piece of paper saying, void this because I think it's unconstitutional. Example, if the government orders Cody to get his own health insurance and he refuses to get it, and they add to his tax bill a fine, and he refuses to pay the taxes, and they indict him, forgive me, this is just a hypothetical, Cody, indict him for failure to pay his taxes, then and not until then is he in a position to challenge the constitutionality of the portion of the statute that requires him to get health insurance.
Judge, is there any reason for me not to do this? I would love to be that live free or die example. I'm going to cancel my health insurance. I want the government to go ahead. You guys go ahead and try and tax me. Bring it on. I will take you to the constitutional, the highest court in the land, the Supreme Court. Bring it on.
It actually would be a very good argument for you to make, because though the federal government, through the Congress, can regulate interstate commerce, that has never been held to mean it can force you to engage in interstate commerce. It can keep people out of interstate commerce. It can regulate the conditions of interstate commerce. It can keep certain items from crossing state lines.
I'll stay in New York,
but it can't force you to buy anything. That's the strongest constitutional argument there is.
Force you to buy anything, and I get that. I get that. We've been hearing about that for months.
Right.
What about they can force you to pay tax on a good or a service that they provide, like police, firemen, roads, etc.
Right.
That could be the same argument. We're going to make the same argument.
That's what their argument would be, is that this is for the operation of the government. We've decided to increase his taxes because of the salary that he makes, and the fact that he's not cooperating with us has nothing to do with the reason we're increasing his taxes. So they would argue. Now, you're talking to somebody who believes that taxation is theft. But nevertheless, the law is that the courts will not review the amount of taxation, that's a political decision, not for judges to make, but for legislators to make.
We talked about Democrats, Republicans, other organizations now trying to maybe do some sort of legislation or go against this in some way. And you were talking about the attorneys generals and that they may not be as successful. It may just be a show.
Right.
So who might be successful? Who might actually have a
Besides Cody.
Someone in Cody's
Besides
position.
Cody, I will bring you a file in a case.
Some individual harmed by
who might
this, or a corporation that is driven out of business by this.
Right.
For example,
even Caterpillar, by the way, said they would have to pay an extra $100 million.
Well, the statute, if once it becomes law, will require that a person cannot be turned down for pre-existing injuries. It will also cap what the premiums can be. If the effect of lots of people coming to insurance company A with pre-existing injuries is that insurance company A cannot charge them what they are costing the insurance company, and A goes out of business, the shareholders of A would have a cause of action against the government for theft, for destroying their business.
So when you said corporations, you meant the insurers, not actual corporations like small businesses or people that.
No, he means small businesses, any corporation.
Well, I'm talking about insurance companies in this hypothetical. But remember, the courts will not review the amount of tax or the wisdom of raising the tax. They will deem that a political decision that the people make through their representatives.
Judge,
as draconian as this is, as horrible as many of us believe it was, this was done by the people that Americans sent to Congress.
Judge, and that's just it. I mean, I wouldn't call this draconian because it's 2,000 pages on top of tens of thousands of pages on top. I literally did try and read this bill, and it would refer bills from years past. It would tell me to go look at a different amendment. Well, it would tell me to go look at a different. It was unbelievable. Where is the law on all of this? How is any of this going to be enforced anyway?
order to read something like this, you need the entire U.S. Code in front of you. The U.S. Code is about the size of 8 or 9 Encyclopedia Britannicas. So you really have about
no joke.
You really have about 100,000 pages of bills in front of you that this amends. It just doesn't read like a novel. This literally would take weeks to read from beginning to end because you have to pull the other books out.
I kept trying.
I know you tried.
They didn't all read it either.
The kernel of wrongness here is that the government is moving in an area that the Constitution never authorized it to, by putting the government between the doctor and the patient. That interferes with the most intimate, personal, private decisions, which are protected by other statutes and by Supreme Court decisions.
Judge, we hear this all the time, and I got to say, it feels like, I mentioned earlier, we lost. I mean, is there a real fight? Realistically, is there a fight left in this dog?
Well, there is if they want to try and change it, because they may not be able to get it through under reconciliation, and the 41 Republicans may filibuster it. Democrats will lose a lot of strength this November, but they're not going to change this until they have a Republican in the White House. Here's the problem.
Rescinding, Judge. I'm talking about declaring this unconstitutional.
There is a chance that this could be declared unconstitutional, but that wouldn't happen for many years. It doesn't take effect until 2014. It takes 4 years on average for a case to start in the trial court and get to the Supreme Court. Cody will have gray hair before the court hears it.
Andrew Napolitano, thank you.